There's a kind of silence that shows up late in the day when the sun starts dropping and everything around you slows down. It's not empty, it's full, full of memory, full of routine, full of the kind of love that doesn't need words. If you clicked on this video, chances are, that silence. Maybe your dog is resting a little longer than usual. Maybe they skipped a meal they normally never would. Maybe they looked at you today in a way that felt different, calmer, farther away, almost like they were already standing with one paw in another season of life. Welcome to Dogaholic. Today we're not just talking about senior dog care. We're talking about the hidden language of a dog's final days. What changes in behavior may really mean. Why some dogs become clingier while others pull away. Why a dog who has loved your bed for 10 years may suddenly choose the floor in the laundry room or the darkest corner of the porch, and why some dogs, right near the end, seem to gather themselves for one last good day. This is not just about decline, it's about connection. It's about understanding what your dog may be telling you when words are no longer available but love still is. And if you've ever believed a dog is more than a pet, if you believe a dog is a witness to your life, a keeper of your routines, a quiet partner through your best and worst years, then this conversation is for you. Before we talk about what your dog may be doing, we need to talk about why this hurts the way it does. Because losing a dog does not feel small. It does not feel casual. It does not feel like just losing a pet. It feels like losing a presence that shaped your day, your home, your habits, and in a very real sense, your nervous system. Science has finally started catching up to what dog people have known all along. In Emory University fMRI, research dogs showed strong caudate activation, the brain region associated with reward and positive expectation, when exposed to the scent of a familiar human. In plain English, your smell matters to your dog in a deep, emotionally meaningful way. It is not background noise. It is comfort. It is recognition. It is home. And the bond goes both ways. Research on the dog-human bond has shown that mutual gaze and affectionate interaction can raise oxytocin levels in both dogs and their people. That does not mean you and your dog are thinking the same thoughts, but it does mean your bodies have learned each other. Your systems respond to each other. Over years of living side by side, you become emotionally attuned in a way that is biological, not imaginary. That is why the beginning of their decline can feel like something in you is shifting too. You are not overreacting. You are not being dramatic. You are experiencing the strain of a real attachment bond, one built through repetition, touch, eye contact, scent, care, and trust. The grief starts before the goodbye because the bond was real long before the loss. One of the most common questions people ask is this: do dogs know they're dying? The best honest answer is this: dogs likely do not understand death the way humans do. They do not sit around reflecting on mortality or constructing an afterlife in the way we might. But they absolutely know when their bodies are changing. They know when something is off. They live in the present moment, and they are experts at reading the signals inside and around them. A dog's sense of smell is one of the most extraordinary sensory systems in nature. Depending on breed, dogs may have roughly 125 to 300 million olfactory receptors, far beyond what humans have. Their world is built through scent in a way most people never fully appreciate. So when a dog's body begins to change through illness, pain, organ decline, medication, shifts, inflammation, or metabolic disruption, they do not need a diagnosis to know something is different. They can feel it. They can smell it. They can sense that the body they rely on is no longer behaving like it used to. That helps explain why behavior often changes before families feel emotionally ready to name what's happening. A dog may become more clingy because the familiar becomes more important. They may stare at you longer because your presence feels grounding. Or they may seem restless, unsettled, or oddly watchful because their inner world is changing faster than they can make sense of it. So if your dog is acting differently, do not dismiss it as just old age. Age may be part of it, but behavior is often communication. Your dog may be responding to real physical changes long before the full picture is visible from the outside. This is one of the most painful things for people to witness. A dog who has spent years pressed against your leg, sleeping in your room, following you from kitchen to hallway to back porch, suddenly goes somewhere else. Under the bed, behind a chair, into the closet, into the yard. Into a quiet place that feels far away from the life they usually share with you. And the human heart immediately asks the wrong question. Do they not want me anymore? Did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Usually no. When dogs withdraw or hide while sick, weak, or near the end of life, that behavior is commonly understood as instinctive self-protection. Weak animals are more vulnerable. Even in the safety of a loving home, instinct does not vanish just because comfort exists. Many animals still seek quiet, enclosed places when they feel physically compromised. That means a dog who hides is not rejecting your love. More often, they are following an old survival script written much deeper than training routine or habit. In a strange way, it can even look like loyalty. Not loyalty in a poetic movie scene sense, loyalty in the primal sense. I am vulnerable. I need shelter. I need less stimulation. I need stillness. So if your dog is doing this, do not take it personally. Read it for what it may be, not rejection, but retreat. Meet them where they are. If they want the corner, soften the corner. Bring the bed there. Bring the blanket there. Sit nearby without crowding them. Let your presence be available, not demanding. Some dogs want touch. Some want only proximity. The compassionate move is not to force them back into the center of the house. It is to make their chosen place feel safe. If you have walked this road before, you may know exactly what I'm talking about. A dog has been fading, eating less, moving less, sleeping harder, maybe not really getting up at all. And then one morning out of nowhere, they rally. Tail up, eyes brighter, appetite back. Maybe they ask to go outside. Maybe they want the couch. Maybe they greet you at the door. Maybe they even look like themselves again for a few precious hours. Families often describe this as a miracle, a turnaround, a second wind. In end-of-life care, people sometimes call this a rally. Similar episodes are described in both human and animal hospice conversations, but the science behind them is still limited, especially in animals. What we can say honestly is that some families and veterinary professionals do report a brief return of energy or alertness shortly before death. What we cannot say with confidence is that this means recovery. Usually it does not. So here's the practical truth. If your dog has a last rally, treat it as a gift, not a reversal. Do not waste that moment arguing with reality. Do not pressure yourself to decide that everything is fixed, because for one afternoon they looked stronger. Use the moment. Take the slow walk if they want it. Let them sit in the sun. Offer the favorite food if your veterinarian says it is safe. Take the photo. Put your hand on their side and memorize the rise and fall of their breathing. Speak gently. Be there fully. Because for many families, that final bright spell becomes one of the memories that carries them through the grief. Not because it erased the ending, but because it reminded them who their dog still was right there at the edge. There is no easy way to say this part, so I'll say it plainly. For many families, one of the hardest decisions they will ever make is whether to choose euthanasia. The word itself comes from Greek roots, meaning good death. And when done appropriately by a veterinarian, euthanasia is intended to prevent suffering and bring about a humane, peaceful death. The AVMA guidelines describe euthanasia methods as those that produce rapid loss of consciousness and death with minimal pain and distress. That matters because guilt gets loud in this season. People worry, will my dog be scared? Will they know what's happening? Will I betray them by making this choice? What the evidence and veterinary guidance support is. The goal of humane euthanasia is not to cause pain, but to relieve it. In many settings, sedation or calming medication is used first so the dog can relax before the final medication is given. End-of-life veterinarians also emphasize that familiar voices, familiar scent, and a calm environment can reduce distress. And that brings us back to bond. Your scent, your voice, your hands. Those are not small things to your dog. If you are there, you are not just witnessing the moment. You are part of the comfort in the moment. You are the familiar signal in a body that is letting go. If in-home euthanasia is available and right for your situation, many families find comfort in that choice because it allows the dog to remain in a place filled with known smells, known textures, and known love. But whether it happens at home or in a clinic, the core question is the same, not can I bear this, but what is kindest for my dog now? Sometimes love is treatment. Sometimes love is waiting. Sometimes love is one more day in the sun. And sometimes love is letting suffering end. Now let's talk about the part people often handle badly, your pain. Because sooner or later somebody says it. It was just a dog. And if you are grieving deeply, that sentence can feel like a second loss. But recent research from Maynooth University found that among people who had experienced both human loss and pet loss, more than 1 in 5 identified the death of a pet as the bereavement that distressed them most. Other recent work also shows that pet loss can be associated with profound grief, and for some people, prolonged grief symptoms. Psychologists often refer to this kind of invalidated mourning as disenfranchised grief, the kind of grief society does not always fully acknowledge, even though the emotional bond was significant. That term matters because it gives language to something many people feel but struggle to explain. Your grief is not excessive just because your dog was not human. Your brain is not grading the species, it is responding to attachment, routine, dependency, touch, emotional safety, and years of lived companionship. Dogs often offer a form of steady, judgment-free presence that is hard to find anywhere else in life. When that presence is gone, the silence is not symbolic. It is practical, it is physical, it is everywhere. The empty spot by the door, the leash that doesn't move, the feeding time that still arrives, the habit of listening for pause that no longer come. So yes, it hurts. And yes, that hurt is valid. Conclusion, the legacy they leave behind. As we close this out, I want you to look at your dog. If they're with you, now look at them. And if they're already gone, picture them. Picture the ordinary things, the way they waited for you, the way they circled before lying down, the sound of their tags in the hallway, the way they knew your mood before you said a word, the way they made a house feel occupied in the best possible way. Here's what matters most. Whatever happens in these final days, your dog's life was not defined only by the ending. It was defined by the years of care that came before it. The walks, the food, the nicknames, the routines, the vet visits you paid for, the beds you bought, the schedule you built around them, the 1,000 small acts that told them over and over again you are safe here. That is the story your dog lived inside. And dogs do not leave us with speeches. They leave us with something heavier and better than words. They leave us with loyalty. They leave us with memory. They leave us with proof that love can become routine and still remain sacred. If you are in the middle of this right now, pay attention to what your dog may be asking for. More closeness, more quiet, less stimulation, a softer place to rest, one more good meal, one more familiar voice, one more day where they do not have to be brave alone. That may be the silent goodbye, not an announcement, not a dramatic sign, just a series of small, honest messages from a life that trusted you all the way to the end. And if they are already gone, then let this be your reminder. The grief you carry is proportional to the love you gave. That is not weakness. That is the receipt. This is Dogaholic. And here we honor dogs not as background characters in our lives, but as family witnesses and old souls who walked beside us for part of the road. If this video spoke to you, subscribe to Dogaholic and stay with us. This channel is for people who know a dog is never just a dog. It's for the ones who still hear tags in the hallway, still keep the leash, still remember the exact look in those eyes. Here we talk honestly about dog behavior, aging, grief, loyalty, and the quiet science behind the bond we share with them. So if you want clear, heartfelt videos without fluff videos that respect both your intelligence and your love for dogs, hit subscribe like this video and turn on notifications. Then share this with someone who may need it tonight. And in the comments, tell us one thing your dog taught you about love, patience, or life. Your story may be the words someone else needs right now. Join the Dogaholic family, and let's keep honoring dogs the way they deserve.